Hello, everyone. I hope you can see me and I hope you can hear me. If teachers could kindly let me know in the question and answer box that they can hear me and see me. Yeah, we have a few raised hands. Hello, everyone. You're very welcome to Agri Come Farm With Me series. This is a new series based on our previous series called Farming Through the Seasons. And what we've actually done with Farming Through the Seasons is we've condensed it, but we've also given more selection and more variety across all the sectors. So we have farmers from 6 different sectors within agriculture, tillage, horticulture today with Paul Brophy, we've dairy, sheep, beef, and we are doing a webinar with each of those. And what we've done is we've gone out to these farms, and the farmers have very kindly allowed us to video them on their farms and put these videos together for you to see. So in tradition with Farming Through the Seasons, we have had a few shout outs at the start of every webinar. So if any school would like a shout out, just put it into the question and answer. This is, oh wow, we have an awful lot of schools here. So we have Crumlin National School, Ballyglunin, County Galway. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. We have Kilmainwood National School in North Meath. We have St. Tola's in Delvin. I remember St. Tola's from Farming Through the Season, so hello to everyone there. We have St. Joseph's in Carrickmacross. We have Ladieswell National School in Mulhuddard. We have second class in Kilmuckridge. We have Cloneen National School. I hope that's Cloneen in South Tipperary. That's where our executive director is from, Marcus O'Halloran. So if anyone knows Marcus down there, hello to all of you. We have St. Beacon's National School, Mullinavat, County Kilkenny. Very near County Waterford there, Mullinavat. We have Inver National School in Donegal. So hello to everyone up in Donegal. We have more classes in from St. Joseph's and Carrickmacross. Hello to everyone there. We have Napashti from Rongatree, from Scully Carnig, or Carney from Ballinasloe. So Tiaviv. We have St. Finian's in Clonard. We have a great spread across the country of all the schools that have tuned in. So hello to everyone there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually play the video that we got with Paul. We went out to Paul's farm a few weeks ago, and Paul kindly showed us around the farm and kind of the processing of broccoli and how broccoli is produced on his farm. So we'll play the video, and I'd ask all the students to pay attention. Make sure you have a pen and paper beside you, a copybook, or a crayon or something to write down any questions that you have for Paul, because Paul is with us here today and we'll get chatting to him after the video. So I'm going to share my video here now, and I hope you all enjoy it.
My name is Paul Brophy, and I run a business here in Naas, County Kildare, called Brohpy Produce Limited. We're in business for the last 40 years, and I started the project off really, I suppose, as an idea, and my father gave me the use of 5 acres of land to try grow some vegetables and sell them into local markets. If you ever wondered how broccoli gets on your plate, it starts off as a tiny little seed that size there, and in 5 months we try to turn that little seed into that head of broccoli, and that's our challenge. The small seeds are sown in the nursery here, and they take approximately 2 months to grow from a little seed into a seedling, and that takes place in our nursery. We grow approximately 10 million of these seedlings on our farm. That seedling then is transplanted out into the field, and it grows there for approximately another 3 months, and the little seedling turns into a fully fledged broccoli plant where we come in and harvest it. The heads of broccoli are cut all by hand, it's all manual, but they're put into these boxes, brought back here to the pack house and farm, and it's cooled, packed and distributed to our customers in 24 to 48 hours. We're here in the plant nursery. This is an empty polytunnel where we grow the plants. This house would hold about 400,000 young plants, and we would get about 3 batches of plants out of this grow house. We have a watering system here that applies the water evenly, and there's some heaters that just give frost protection, that if there's some light frost at night. The watering is applied really evenly to give us even plants, and the nutrition is also applied through the irrigation lines. Okay, we're here in our nursery, and I suppose this is where all the baby plants are. And we have to mind the baby plants like a mother minds her children. We have to protect them from frost, we have to ventilate the roof if it gets too warm, and we have to give them all the conditions that they need to survive into a young plant that we can plant out in a couple of weeks' time when the weather is good. This machine looks after the plants, I suppose keeps them free from pests and diseases. It's probably saves the environment because it only applies what's needed where it's needed, and it's also great fun to drive. Okay. So this is what it's all about. This is the end stage. The lads are here today in the field harvesting the crop. So they walk through it and they select out the ideal head size, and they just cut through it with a knife, take the leaves off and throw it into the boxes. We're looking, that would be the ideal head size. Now at the ends here where the plants have some more space, there's probably some of them that are a little bit too big, such as that, but that size head will be harvested as well, and we'll go for food service into the prepared veg sector, but that wouldn't be ideal for a supermarket. But we have a market for everything, so we will harvest all sizes, and we'll separate and grade it back in the pack house. When the broccoli comes in from the field, it gets labelled with its traceability code, and then it's brought in here and pre-cooled down from field temperature, which can be anything from around 24-25 degrees down to about 2 degrees in 24 hours. That's to ensure that the quality of the broccoli stays good for more days than if you packed it when it was warm. We hold all the stock in here for 1 day, then we move it to the next fridge, and it's never in the fridge any longer than 4 or 5 days, and our objective is really to get it out in 48 hours to our customers. The boxes are brought in then from the cold room into the production room, and the trace code labels are taken off by the forklift drivers, and they're handed to the quality manager, who records the batches and the customers that particular box of broccoli is going to on the particular day. They're here and they're then queued to tip into our bin tipper, which then rolls them out onto the trimming and grading line. The bin tipper is automated, so they just load the box in and there's sensors in there, and it can see when there's gaps on the production line, and it'll keep feeding in the broccoli. There's a hopper then that there's always the equivalent of 1 full box of broccoli, so the lines don't get starved, which brings down productivity and production. As the broccoli comes down the production line, it's separated out in terms of size and in stem length. If it's a big broccoli which is suitable for our 500 gram pack, it's let go to the end of the line and it's placed in a trimmer. And that's a simple process where they take the large head, it cuts that stem. The trimmed broccoli then rolls on down and is automatically deposited on what we call a buffer belt, where the broccoli is fed to the individual packing machines. The machine makes what's, for all intents and purposes, a bag around the broccoli, but it's a special plastic that has shrink qualities on it. There's perforations in the bag so that when it goes into our heat tunnel here, the air is extracted out of the bag, and you'll see it coming out the other side, and it will be a fully shrunk piece. It takes a couple of seconds, and that's the finished product there. Goes down onto our packing table where the labels are applied, and then the boxes of broccoli are filled with 12 heads in some cases. If it's a smaller product of crown broccoli, there's 15 heads put into the box. When the orders are being packed, they're brought in here then, and they're got ready for distribution. So we have all different customers in different lines. it's very important that the right product goes on the right truck that ends up in the right destination. We're here in the office, and I suppose this is the brain centre of it all. The orders come in from the customers, and within 24 hours those orders have to be dispatched, and in some cases you have only 12 hours to turn the order around. But we can guesstimate, and we sit down on a Monday and we have a planning meeting and we put in what we expect the orders to be, and they can be based on, can change with weather conditions. If it's very warm, people mightn't cook as much. If it's very cold, or you come into the back to school time, we have, I suppose, expectations of what the orders might be. And if anyone has any questions about the processes and what they see in the clip here, I'd be delighted to answer them.
So there was a great video down on Paul's farm where he kindly let us in for a day, and we got to see the makings of the broccoli on our shelves. So I'd like to invite Paul to turn on his camera and his mic. If you have any questions for Paul, make sure to start getting them into the question and answer box. So Paul, how are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Oh, not too bad, Paul. I suppose the weather the last couple of months has favoured everything that broccoli growers are looking for.
It's been the dream back end of the year. We've had very little or no frost, dry weather, which makes getting out on the land easy and getting the crops out and getting them home easy. And I suppose, if I was able to dial in the weather, that's the type of weather I dial in every autumn for broccoli growing.
Super stuff, super stuff. And I suppose, your season kind of finishes around now, doesn't it, Paul? You're winding down. Is that what's
That's
happening?
correct. We'll finish harvesting at the weekend, and we'll sell out next week, and the Irish broccoli season will stop. It's impossible to produce it in the winter. The day length is it's too short, and temperatures and light levels are too low. So it's produced in Spain from mid-November to mid-June, and we do the mid-June to mid-November period.
Very good, very good. I suppose we'll get straight into some of the questions from our students listening. They're piling in here. So, first question we'll look at is, how long does it take broccoli to grow?
In total, 20 weeks. About 8 weeks in the plant nursery and another 12 weeks in the field. But that varies a little bit. It's a little bit longer in the spring when the soil is cold, when the plants go in, and again at the back end of the season. But on average, 20 weeks from seed to finished product.
Very good, very good. We must have a couple of tractor enthusiasts here in Miss Murphy's class. Do you use tractors for farming broccoli?
Oh yes, we've a fleet of almost all New Hollands, and we kind of try to keep to a standard type of tractor, because when you train in the staff to use them, that they can move from one to the other without having to retrain them. But yeah, we have a fleet of 12 tractors.
Very good, very good. We must have a couple of people that help Mommy and Daddy with the shopping. They want to know, what shops do you supply?
If you go into any supermarket, there's a good chance some of our products will be on the shelves. Two in particular, Dunnes Stores and Aldi, we supply 100% of their broccoli. And in the other supermarkets, we do some of the order along with other broccoli growers.
Very good. We have a couple of questions then about you. So how long have you been farming for?
Well, I started with my dad, but it was a very different farm back then. I would when I was young, we had sheep and cattle, and I used to help Dad. When lambing would be going on, and then we had some cattle in the wintertime, we'd help. We used to buy calves off dairy farmers and rear them, and got my first sort of tractor experience. Then I suppose we were growing some cereals, and I'm 41 years in business now this year on my own, but I would be farming probably for 55 years, maybe a bit longer.
Very good, very good. And a question here from Alana. Why did you choose to produce broccoli?
That's a great question, Alana. There's a couple of things. We're located in Naas, just a little bit inland, and it can be challenging to produce winter vegetables if you're susceptible to frost, which we would be in Naas. So I have the capacity to do the full Irish season, and that's what a supermarket or a customer wants. He wants somebody supplying him from the day the Irish season starts to the end. And broccoli grows particularly well on the soils that we farm around Kildare, and the climate in Kildare is very, very good for producing broccoli. Not as what you call it, frosty as maybe if you went further inland, but we still have a good environment. And it's being too near the sea on some of the light sandier soils can sometimes be a disadvantage if you get a very warm summer. So we've a slightly heavier soil in Kildare, and it works very well.
So you've near the perfect farm just for broccoli.
Oh, well, there's never a perfect farm, because if you get a wet summer, you like to be on heavier ground. And if you get a very, very dry summer, you're saying, oh, I wish I was on heavier land. So it does vary, but you have to sort of, I suppose, aim in the middle a little bit.
Very good, very good. And a question from Megan in 4th class in Kildysart, County Clare. So how much broccoli do you grow in the year, or how many seeds would you sow?
We sow 10 million seeds, and we would produce about 500,000 boxes of broccoli in the total season.
Okay, so I think if anyone took on the challenge to eat broccoli every day for a year, I still think they'd have a big job to get through the amount of broccoli you're growing.
I'd still be encouraging them to eat broccoli every day, because it'll do my sales good and make our business even better. So absolutely, go home and ask your mother to get some Irish broccoli while it's still on the shelves. You have another week to get it.
Very good, very good. Here's an interesting question. So what happens to all the leaves when the men harvesting the broccoli cut the stalk off, or what happens there?
That's a brilliant question. That is, you can let some animals graze it if you like, but we work in an area where there's not a lot of livestock. It's more cereal growing goes on around us. So we chop it up and we incorporate it back as green manure back into the soil, and that benefits the next crop, which is usually a winter cereal or a spring cereal.
Very good, very good. Question about the nursery. So how many seedlings can the nursery hold at any one time?
About 3 million, 3.5 million, 3 to 3.5 million. Some of the early plants, we grow them in a slightly bigger seed tray, make them a little bit stronger for when they go out in March into the ground. But by and large, but yeah, 3.5 million.
Very good. So we have a couple of questions as to how does the broccoli stay so green, or why is it so green, and is there different types of broccoli?
There's many different types of broccoli. You have a sprouting broccoli, which is, we grow head broccoli and green head broccoli, but you can get a purple sprouting broccoli and you can get a green tender stem broccoli. And while they're very similar, they're very different in the way you pack them and present them. So we've just specialized in head broccoli. And a lot of people would say to me, oh, you should grow the sprouting or the tender stem. But, you can't do everything. We do the head broccoli as well as we can, and we stick to that.
Very good. And then a couple of questions around what kind of size do the broccoli get up to, and what happens with any waste, or what happens if broccoli are too big or too small?
Yeah, if it gets too big or there's waste, it goes for animal feed. So it goes back to, there's a couple of cattle farmers in the area and they'll take the trailer loads of waste. We'd also have the trimmings. When we trim it to customer size, the stumps and the stalks, they're put into a trailer and sent back to a cattle farmer. And the cattle love it. They really, really like it. Now, they don't have their full diet on it, but it'll be supplemented in with some other feeds. And in the winter months, it's not available, but we would grow some cabbage as well. So we keep that farmer going with feedstock all year round.
Very good, very good. And I suppose, how big do they get up to, Paul? If you weren't to cut a broccoli, how big would it get? Just to leave it alone.
You get up to over a kilo, and it's too big really then, because you can't get the heads into the boxes that the supermarkets they want 12 or 15 heads in a box. So the ideal size is between 350 and 500 grams, which is just, you can manage those. But it grows so fast. I mean, when you consider those tiny little seeds that I showed you in my hand, fractions of a gram, and in 20 weeks, they're a half a kilo. If you miss your harvest by a week, that broccoli will be gone way too big, and it would be rejected by the supermarkets because it wouldn't handle well and wouldn't keep well. It can go yellow very quickly when it gets oversized. So we have to be really on the ball when we're harvesting it. And we pass through the crop twice, maybe 3 times, to try and get as many heads into that optimum size. And there's no machine, nowhere in the world yet. They're developing one in the US at the moment. It's a joint venture between a Dutch and an American university, and they're working on a mechanical harvester. It's not there yet, but it will within the next 5 to 10 years, I would imagine. Particularly that computer-aided learning or machine learning, that they'll have something that will be able to do what we do manually at the moment.
Very good. And I suppose that feeds into a question that I just seen come up there. What is the biggest field of broccoli you've ever grown, and how long did it take to harvest it?
That's a great question as well. 130 acres is a field we have farmed, and it took us 4 weeks to get across. And that was 30 people in that field every day for that 4-week period.
Very good. And again, that leads me into another very frequent question here. How many people do you have working on the farm?
There'll be up to 60 people, and be about 30 are involved in the harvest, because you won't have everyone in every day. We try to run 4 teams of 7, and then we have some floating staff. Then you have the lads who bring the broccoli back, the tractor drivers who haul the broccoli back to the pack house, and forklift drivers in the yard. And then you have the packing staff. Then we have office people and quality managers, and we have a nursery manager as well for looking after the young plants in the nursery. But the nursery manager kind of doubles up and helps out, because that's not busy all year round. That quietens off in July, and then they come in and help in the production.
Very good, very good. Mossy from Senior Infants in St. Michael's National School in Dunamine, County Monaghan, wants to know if you love your job.
I absolutely love it. I wouldn't have stuck at it for 41 years if I didn't love it. And I was always interested in gardens and plants from when I was very, very young. And it was very different because my dad had, as I said, a mixed farm with cattle and sheep. And I was seen as sort of the renegade or the odd one out. But my father took to it and loved it. And he ended up working with me until he retired completely out of the business.
Very good, very good. We've loads of questions here. It's unbelievable how many questions here, and I wish we could answer them all. So we're going to try and answer as many as we can. What months are the seedlings put into the field?
That starts anytime around Patrick's Day, from around the middle of March, and it's to do with day length. You've got equal day, equal night, and that's what the broccoli reacts to is day length. So we start planting in March, and every week we put in about 30 acres, 35 acres of crop, and we plant right through till the end of July, first week in August, and then that gives us a harvest then from mid-June to mid-November.
Very good, very good. We have a couple of questions around, do you grow organic broccoli?
I do. I converted the home farm into an organic farm 6 years ago now, and we grow organic broccoli, organic oats, and organic grass and clover on the home farm. And that's a sort of a business within the business. We have a separate registration for it. It's a separate herd number, and it runs completely independently of the, we have to grow the plants separately. They have to be all managed. And if you went back to that video and you looked at it, you'd see there was boxes in there that had green boxes, green writing on them and green labels on it. That would indicate that that's organic stock, and that's supplied to all our same customers. And there's a huge demand for organic broccoli.
Very good, very good. We have a couple of questions then around why do you leave them in the fridge for 4 or 5 days, and what is the optimal length of time between cutting the broccoli in the field and it ending up on the shop shelf?
I would say 3 days. You need a full day to cool it. You've got to take the temperature out of it, or it'll sweat in the plastic packs that we shrink wrap it in. So that takes 1 full day. Then we pack it and distribute it, and it goes to a central distribution depot, and it's usually a day in transit there. and then it's sent out to the shop. So 3 days. And we give on the label, we give usually 4 days. We guarantee that product for 4 days. So when the customer buys it, there's a best before date or code on it that indicates how many days it's good for.
Very good, very good. I'm going to try and limit it to 5 more questions here, because I think Paul has an awful lot of jobs to do before he finishes cutting broccoli for a year. So we will... Oh, a question, and I know that, Paul, you told myself and Michael the day we were filming, but a couple of people want to know, how did you start off? What was your journey, from
Well, you
starting
need...
broccoli at home and ending up as big as you are now?
Yeah, I started off sort of accidentally. It was just a teacher who was a passionate gardener, gave out packets of seed to the students, and I was in sixth class at the time, and I brought them home and I grew the 3 packets of seed and got a glass house for Christmas the following year, little glass house, and started growing plants and flowers and vegetables. I did a big kitchen garden in the house and decided the only career I wanted to pursue was a career in horticulture, and I went and studied horticulture and came back home and set up the business. But it started from 5 acres to over 600 acres today. So it started very small, supplying just local shops and some local restaurants and hotels.
Very good, very good. You might have a couple of people here who are looking for summer jobs. They want to know, what age do you have to be to work on a broccoli farm?
Well, we'd allow people work in the nursery when they're younger, sort of 15, 16, out in the fields, and they'd have to have driving licenses, and they'd have to be at least sort of 17, 18 is the usual.
Very good, very good. So if anyone is listening there and they're looking for a summer job, maybe in 10 years' time, Paul might be able to help you out.
Well, all my own children did their summers in it, and it gave them a good work ethic and understanding that it's a difficult, I suppose, it's not all simple, and there's some challenges in the business, and weather being one of them, So yeah.
Very good, very good. We've a couple of business-minded people here. They want to kind of know, how much does it cost to get into broccoli growing, and how much are the shops buying it for? So we leave that up to you, Paul, to disclose that information.
I want the names of those lads and get them in here as my economists working for me. Let me see. The first question: how much the broccoli? How much does it cost per acre? Was that the question? Sorry.
How much does it cost to get into broccoli growing?
Oh, to get into it. Oh, it depends how big you are. A couple of thousand would get you started in a small way. But once you get into the big equipment, like the packing machines and that, it's into the millions. It's a lifetime of investment that I've put into it. I've reinvested all my profits year on year on year to build it up to what it is. And the supermarkets mark up about 40, 45, 50% on what they buy off us. So they get that margin for handling the product for 2 to 3 days. And we have to work on a smaller margin, having looked at that crop for 20 weeks from when it's a seed to thing. But look, that's the way it is. That's the way it works. And we have to, I suppose, model our business on high volume, low margin. That's the way it operates.
So for anyone that just isn't sure, if Paul sells 1 head of broccoli to a shop for €1, they're going to sell it to you for €1.50.
That's approximately right. Yeah.
So that's for the economists out there who are doing their maths on seeing how could they get into the business and give you a bit of competition, Paul.
Yeah. Well, competition is healthy because the horticulture sector is a dwindling sector in Ireland. There was 400 growers back in the year 2000. There's less than 100 growers today. Now, we're bigger businesses, and more efficient, but declining numbers is one of our biggest challenges. And if anyone is from a farm, and they should consider horticulture as a career. It is hard work, and it's not like anything in farming. It's not without its risks. And again, the biggest risk is weather because it's so uncontrollable. But it's certainly, I found it a very rewarding career, but financially it has looked after me well and my family, and we've reared a family on it and done well out of it. But people have left the industry for other reasons. They know next generation coming into the business, and the father or the mother stopped the business when they finished, and I'm lucky. I've a son who has joined the business, and it didn't look like it at the start. He was gone in a completely different career direction. He was doing engineering in UCD, and he had worked all his summers for me, and some winter time or springtime when we'd be planting, and he decided to come back and join the business, and he's brought a whole new aspect to it, where his engineering mind is so different than my mind, and a lot of the new technology and that sprayer that you saw in the video, that one, purchase of the likes of that, and an automated planter, which is the first of the sort of automation coming through. He would have driven that agenda as well, and a lot of the GPS and the precision farming side of it. He would be very interested in driving the business forward like that, and it's great. It's great for me because it's meant my lifetime of work doesn't stop when I finish up. It continues on, and I hopefully leave a legacy of some description behind me, and will become the Brophies in Naas will become synonymous with broccoli in Ireland.
I think you're doing a super job in doing that, Paul. And I suppose we'll finish up on one very good question. What is your favorite thing about growing broccoli?
My favorite thing about it is, I'd say, the speed at which it grows and the challenges that you have to be so well planned and well organized, because to cut 180 ton of broccoli a week, to have the people in place, to have all the challenges are huge, and you're dealing with then the uncontrollables, like if it's a very, very wet week or a very, very cold week, or that to me is to get all the logistics into place, and people to say, God, you run a really well run farm. But it doesn't just happen like that. I have a huge team of people that work with me, from farm manager right down to the quality people, to the people that actually do the work and harvest, the hard grafting, the people that are out in those fields harvesting, and working with them and building up relationships with them, that they'll do the extra hours on the busy days, and they'll come in on a Sunday if there's a little bit extra to be done and we're behind in work.
Super stuff, Paul. That's absolutely fantastic. And look, we're after giving half an hour there between the video and answering questions. And look, we really appreciate your time. And for any of the teachers that want to look back on the video and look back on Paul's answers to the questions, it will be up on a YouTube link for anyone that is tuned into the webinar. And look at Paul is going to continue working on. As he said, his son is coming at a whole new aspect to the business and driving it on. So make sure to look out for Paul's broccoli, and make sure to actually buy it. Don't just pick it up and look at it and say, wow, all the hard work that went into it. There's lots of farmers like Paul who really enjoy their work and take an awful lot of pride in it. And it's best that we try and support them as much as we can, because we're very lucky in this country to have such good producers like Paul and many others who work so hard and ensure we have our own food on our own shop shelves. So
I'll ask the teachers now to ask the one question that I want the teachers to ask the students that have watched this: what's their favorite way to eat broccoli? And that can be a discussion point in the class now afterwards. And I'll give you mine. It's actually stir-fried and not boiled. I think it's much, much nicer, and stir-fried with garlic and a little bit of ginger. So they can have a little discussion in class about the best ways to eat it, and maybe go buy a bit of broccoli and decide, have a discussion in the classes how it's best cooked.
Very good. So there's the challenge to everyone now,
Yep,
to have a look and see what way you like to eat broccoli, and maybe try it out at home, or if the school has a kitchen or cooking facilities, it's worth having a go. So you've got Paul's top tip on eating broccoli today, and we hopefully will see an awful lot of engagement on social media of different classes trying out broccoli, and maybe even trying to grow some of their own in the school garden. So super stuff, Paul. Thanks so much for your time. And again, I'd like to remind teachers we've another webinar in 2 weeks' time with a beef farmer, and then another 2 weeks after that, we're on a pig farm. So make sure to keep an eye out on our socials and on your inboxes to see any email updates. So thanks very much for everyone tuning in. And once again, thanks so much to Paul for his time and for opening his gates to us. Thanks, Paul. And
Thank you.
bye, everyone.
Cheerio.